go there. How was that game? That was a tough game.
Speaking of places I don't want to go, you know what's picked up a lot of steam over the last couple weeks? Like, friend of the pod, Jarrett Bailey, did a video on this, and a lot of people are pushing this of like, Lamar Jackson makes sense for the Falcons. Lamar Jackson does not make sense for the Falcons. And I am going to lose my mind if this is a year-over-year situation where the Falcons like dip their toes into the veteran quarterback market and are like, hey, we're gonna see what we can do here. Garrett, would you like to guess how many of the final 8 NFL teams still alive in the playoffs did not draft their quarterback?
The final 8.
How many have a quarterback they did not draft?
I think they all drafted him.
They did all draft him. All 8
go.
were drafted by their own team. This is
the
not
Super
how
Bowl
you
champion last year traded for him.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of.
It's not unheard of.
It's also not a very good track record. Generally, you want the same guy in the system who's been there, and you compete more with a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, they can afford him. Will he make this team more exciting? Yes. Will he make this team better? Yes. Would this team be a playoff team with Lamar Jackson? Yes.
They might be a playoff team without him just because the AFC South is going to be so bad.
Yeah, but that was my next part.
Okay.
You're a playoff team without him.
Mm-hmm.
You have too many holes. Mm-hmm. Go plug those holes and figure the rest out. Desmond Ridder is good enough. He's good enough. But he's also good enough to that point where Lamar Jackson has not largely been unhealthy for the majority of his career. At least. Well, I don't know if he's ever played a full 16 games. I think he might have. Maybe he did when he was a rookie, but that's just because he was he was supplementing Joe Flacco. I don't think he's been healthy for a full 16 games schedule. 17 now. I'm not too thrilled with that. If I'm going to be paying him $45 million every single year, not very thrilled with the idea that he's not going to be healthy, and that was on the young half of his career, and it's only going to get worse as it goes along. Not thrilled with that idea. However, if you have a guy like Desmond Ridder coming in and replacing him off the bench and spot starts, he'd be one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. But I don't think they drafted him for that reason. I think they drafted him to see what he can do as a starter, and I think he showed me enough at the last half of last year, the last 4 games or whatever and change that he played. I think I saw enough. I want him to be the starter, and I want them to supplement the other positions on the field because, having a competent defense would be kind of nice in Atlanta for a change.
That would be a nice change. Lamar Jackson, I'm just not in. I also don't think they're going to move him. I saw this week that he's involved in the offensive coordinator search for Baltimore.
He's going to be in Baltimore. He's not getting out of Baltimore.
No.
They'll franchise tag him and he'll sign it. If he doesn't show up, let them deal with that problem. I don't want that problem here in Atlanta. I just don't want to deal with it.
We're not a quarterback away right now. That's the other part of it. It's just they're not a quarterback away.
The New York Jets can go do this. I mean, the Cleveland Browns thought they were a quarterback away, and they missed the playoffs.
And also, Deshaun was not good.
He looked bad. Objectively bad.
Hate to see it.
And he would look rusty. I think he'll come back and he'll be fine next year, but
let's hope not.
We'll save that part. But look, I think if he's going to get traded, Atlanta's going to be in the market for him. It's Arthur Blank. He's a sexy player he does a lot of things, and he's fun to watch, and he'll sell tickets and uniforms, whatever. He'll go to New York. I think New York will pay more to go get him. They'll send a small fortune, king's ransom, for Lamar Jackson. Is something I don't think that the Falcons are going to want to match if they know it's good for them. But
yeah, I would tend to agree. I'm not really worried about it. I don't think they're going to go down that road.
I don't think it's going to go that far.
No,
but I said the same thing about the Deshaun Watson thing, which he was all but a Falcon. He had effectively signed the only thing he hadn't done is sign the contract.
Man. Well, lucked out there.
Yeah, for real.
Also, I think Ridder showed enough. He got better week over week, and I think it's enough where, like I said in the group chat with our friend of yesteryear, Max Markovich, about he's our Alex Smith. I don't think Desmond Ridder is ever going to be a top 5 quarterback. I don't think he ever has that kind of what we're seeing in the AFC with Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes being the final 4. Ridder's never going to be that guy. I don't think it's just not there. I don't think he's going to pop.
That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I even think he can be better than that. Like, I think because just he can move around a little bit more.
Alex Smith also was a number 1 overall pick. Jimmy Garoppolo
I don't think Alex Smith would be number 1
literally
overall anymore. Like, I think if we did that draft now, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know where Alex Smith goes in like a redraft or like based on what we saw from him at Utah and what we know about quarterbacks now. I don't know if he'd still go number 1
overall, but I mean, he was also drafted for potential and then had 5 different offensive coordinators.
Yeah, he was kind of ruined early
years. He got ruined, and then he goes and gets Andy Reid and has a resurgence.
And
well, really,
too, like, they moved on
Jim
and they
Harbaugh.
added. He won a bunch of regular season games, and like people were like, "Oh, he can't win the big one," and it's like, well, it's just bites the apple. Like it's just if he was still the Chiefs quarterback all these years later,
they would have
still would have gotten one with Alex Smith. Like,
they would have won a Super Bowl,
right? Like Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Like get hot, like things happen. Like I think you can win a Super Bowl with Desmond Ridder as your quarterback. I think he's smart enough. He's ball control. I think he'll have a good completion percentage. I think he's older. I think he won everywhere he's been.
He's a pro.
Yeah, like
he's a pro.
I want Desmond Ridder to get the full shot, and I want to surround Desmond Ridder with just a high octane offense, run first mentality, great offensive line, and just kick the shit out of people week in, week out. Like that is what I want this Falcons team to be, and I think they still just have a lot of work to do on the defensive line. I think they have a lot of work to do in the secondary, and I think they have a lot of work to do at wideout, like which is kind of wild to think. But Calvin Ridley is going to be playing with Trevor Lawrence next year. And there was a lot of eliminated Zacchaeus still on this Falcons roster this year. And it's just Drake London, home run, great player. He's going to be fun to watch for years. Kyle Pitts, we're now starting to wonder, like, what's this going to look like? But he's still a guy.
When he comes back healthy, I think we're going to have a different opinion of him. We have a guy. Look, people thought that Drake London was verging on bust year 1, which obviously wild overreaction. Because once you plug in Desmond Ridder, a guy who's actually going to throw the ball down the field, unlike the other guy who will remain nameless. This guy throws the ball down the field and he hits his targets more often than not. And I think we saw a massive improvement from Drake London. And I think it's the same thing that we're going to see from an uber talented Kyle Pitts. Mm-hmm. This Falcons offense, I don't think they may draft a guy. I know I've done a lot of those mock drafts. Mm-hmm. Maybe like one of that fell out of like a Zay Flowers if he drops from Boston College. Maybe if there's that kid out of SMU, if he drops to maybe the 3rd round. Ideal scenario for the Atlanta Falcons, go get like a future playmaker, another young guy, supplement him with Olamide Zacchaeus, who's a very strong number 3 option as far as wideouts go. Stick him in the slot. I think then you have an offense right there. That's a full-fledged offense. And maybe go get like a veteran center out on the market. I don't know who its centers or offensive linemen are out there for free agency.
They might need a right tackle.
No, he'll get franchise tagged.
Do you think so?
I'm confident that Caleb McGarry is going to get a franchise tag.
Okay.
I think that just makes too much sense. And I think Terry Fontenot he thinks with his head a little bit more than Thomas Dimitroff does or did. And that's the logical decision. I think prove it one more time. He was very good this year, and at least according to his previous years, comparatively speaking. Lindstrom's about to get the bag. Jake Matthews just restructured his deal to open up some money. He's going to be the left tackle. Caleb McGarry is going to get the franchise tag. Left guard, Elijah Wilkinson showed me enough that if he can stay healthy, that's fine. Maybe they go draft a center guard combo, somebody who can play both positions, and maybe go get another veteran, and that's your center and guard situation. Falcons are pretty much at that point set on offense. Now that you just funnel money and draft capital into the defense, I think that's a winning scenario right there. And the Atlanta Falcons can flip from, if they won 7 games with this roster, I'm confident they can win 10 to 11 games next year, especially in this NFC South. With all the turmoil that's going on down here, they can win 10 or 11 games next year and push their way into the playoffs.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll advance past like a wild card weekend or anything like that. I'm not going to go that far.
We got to see what they do this offseason, like, and who they draft. I'm just not, I don't know. We'll see.
They could.
They have a lot of money to spend. Yes.
Like, that's a lot of money. Sometimes that kind of money goes to your head, and then you start overpaying for a Jadeveon Clowney or something, and pay him too much money. Then, like, would it surprise me if Clowney plays in Atlanta? No.
It would surprise me.
I don't know what that would cost, but we'll see. Would it surprise
me? He really
me?
quit.
No.
Like, there was some really weird stuff that happened at the end of his...
It was a weird situation.
I don't know if I want Jadeveon Clowney.
But that's also... He's played so much losing football. He's been on so many bad football teams that I don't even know if... I want him, truthfully, because he's a superstar talent who has been on losing teams and has been a negative influence in a lot of places. And I'm not going to go that far to say he's the problem or whatever, but sometimes when you bring in that sort of mentality, it doesn't.
That's like
really
a last resort for
translate.
me. Like if we miss on, we whip on some other bigger names, and it's like, all right, we'll circle back with Jadeveon Clowney. I don't know. I'm interested to see where they go.
One thing I will say that this is the most important 2-year stretch, at least since 2007, 2008. The way I'm looking at it, because you have 2007 was a transformational year for better or for worse. You lose Mike Vick, Bobby Petrino bolts for Arkansas. I mean, we saw what happened there. It was a dumpster fire. Year 2, you go get your quarterback, you get your head coach, you get a running back, competent offense with Roddy White on the outside. They look very good. They go to the playoffs. Now this year, last offseason, I should say, Matt Ryan, we separate with him. We eat all of those bad contracts, absorb it. Still, they won 7 games. That's the difference. You have your head coach already in place. You have a quarterback already in place. But you have all this money. You have all this draft capital. You have 5 picks within your first 113. It's pretty important. And lots of potential this year. And I think that this is a playoff team next year. I think it can be, depending on the moves that they make. But I'm optimistic.
I am too. I think they're moving in the right direction. I'm okay. Like I'm not freaking out about where they're going.
I feel better about them than I do the rest of the NFC South. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
I'll guarantee you that.
The Braves offseason, kind of wrapping up here with pitchers and catchers reporting very soon.
20 days.
20 days. 3 more offseason predictions, though, from Chase Earl over at Sports Talk ATL that I wanted to run by you. So his 3, and I want you to tell me which ones you think is most likely to least likely for you. Ian Anderson wins the 5th and final spot in the rotation. The Braves try Vaughn Grissom out in left field. And the Braves at least make one more move.